Hello, Jen from Scrapping Under the Influence. I am here with another new project kit. This one I am using Cartabella Secret Garden. This paper is so pretty. I absolutely just loved working with it. It's just beautiful. So with the kit, you of course get all of the cardstock and chipboard to make the base for your project. You get your pattern paper, you get matching solids, you're going to get a set of these flowers, you're going to get all ribbon that is used in the project, and then you are getting half of one of the Cartabella sticker books, and that is because when I went to order this, they were out of the sticker books. Because the sticker books have 2 of each page, which I didn't end up needing, you are going to get half of one of those, which actually does help keep the cost down a little bit on these. So let's take a look. So we have an envelope folio here. On the front, we've got our little flowers over here. We've got some pieces that I matted on leftover cardstock from the stickers. Opens up like so, and then down like so. It is a folio, so right here we've got stacked pockets, one of them being a window pocket, and then that flips up. We've got a nice big photo mat there. We've got a 4x6 waterfall down here. That there's these little tiny banner stickers in the stickers that are coming with this kit. Plus you have the entire paper collection with the 12x12 stickers there as well. But there's those little banner stickers, and there's some border stickers that are on the other sticker sheets that you're going to get with this, and they're amazing. Okay, so that is the top half of your folio. The bottom half, I've got a cut apart that I just matted on some leftover cardstock and used as a tuck spot. This opens up down like so. On the back side of that big flap, we've got just a nice big belly band, and I've got my extra papers tucked in here as photo mats. We have a pocket flap. So this is open at the top, and you're able to put a lot of pictures in there. We have a little box pocket down here with tons more room for pictures. That one does have a magnet. We've got a nice big spot here for pictures. We've got 2 frame flaps here where you can tuck a picture in there. You can use it just to store extra things. And you've got picture space here. And then we've got on this very back stacked pockets, and I did make some 5x7 mats out of some of my leftover solids. You have a ton of paper with this one, and you will have a decent amount of it left if you wanted to do cards or something like that, because this would be an absolutely stunning collection for cards. So that is the project. The project kit will be linked in the description box of the video. If you decide to purchase that, I appreciate it, and I appreciate your support. If not, follow along with the tutorial. Either way, if you make it, share it. I would love to see what you've done, and let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to start with our elements that are going to go on the top. So first up, we have a flap that is 7 3/4 by 9. With the 7 3/4 at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch and 3/4, or in this case, 7 1/4 and 7, just because that's easier than trying to reach across and do it that way. Next up, we have our pocket with the window in it. This is 8 by 6.5. With the 8 inches at the top, we are going to score at 7 1/2 and 1/2, or 1/2 and 7 1/2. We're going to turn it to the 6.5 inch side and score at 6 inches. Okay. Next up is the pocket that the window pocket sits on top of. This is 8 by 7. Again, we're going to start with the 8 inches at the top. Score at 1/2 inch and 7 1/2. Turn to the 7 inch side and score at 6 1/2. So then that should be, yes, that's good. Okay. Next up is our next pocket, and this is 7 by 7.5. So with the 7 inches at the top, we are going to score at 1/2 inch and 6.5, and turn and score at 7. Then we have 6 pieces that are 4.5 by 6 for a waterfall. Each of those you're going to score at 1/2 inch, or in my case, I'm going to do at 4, so you have that 1/2 inch tab. And set it aside. And we are going to start on our bottom elements. Okay, so first 2 pieces are going to be the stacked pockets that go at the very, very back. Okay, these are 6 by 10 and 4 by 10. We are not going to score these yet because we want to wait until we have everything else that gets attached to the book prior to these to be in, so we can measure and see if we need to take anything off of this, as opposed to scoring it, mitering it, realizing it's too big and having to fix it. Okay, so we're going to just set those 2 aside. We have an envelope flap. The base for this is 6 3/4 by 7. We're going to score this at 6.5 and 6 1/4. Okay. The pocket is 7.5 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to look at something here. With the 7.5 at the top, we're going to score at 1/2 inch and 7, and then 3/4 and 6 3/4. We're going to turn it to the 5 1/4 side, and we're going to score it at 4 3/4 and 4.5. Okay, and then the closure flap, did I not cut that right? I did not. It should be 6 by 2 3/4. And I did not. That is not what I ended up with. I'm not sure how I managed that. So let me grab one of my scraps. And a trimmer. This should be 6 by 2 3/4. You know, when I put it in my stack too, I was like, that seems really small. It's because it was. Okay. Move that. Okay, so with the 2 3/4 at the top, we are going to score this at 2 1/4 and 2. Okay. All right. Next up, we have frame flaps. So these are going to have a little kind of flat pocket with a frame cut into them. So the base, you need 2 pieces that are 7 by 6 1/4. So with the 6 1/4 at the top, we are going to score this at 5 3/4 and 5.5, or if you're scoring from the other direction, 1/2 and 3/4. Okay, so same on both. Okay, piece for that, you need 2 of those as well, is 7.5 by 5. So with the 5" at the top, we're going to score at 4.5 and 1/2. Turn it and score at 7. So do the same on both of these. So it's 7 on the 7.5 side and at 1/2 and 4.5 on the 5" side. Okay. We have a pocket flap up next. This is 5 1/8. I know it's weird, I apologize, by 8. So with the 5 1/8 at the top, we are going to score this at 1/2 inch. And then 1 1/8. Okay. The pocket that goes on top of that is 4.5 by 9. With the 9 inches across the top, we're going to score at 1/2 inch. And 8.5. Turn to the 4.5 inch side, and I'm going to score at 4. Okay. Next flap is 8.5 by 9. So with the 8.5 at the top, we're going to score at 1/2 inch and 1.5. Okay. We have a belly band that is 4 by 10. We're going to score that at 1/2 inch and 9.5. And then we've got a waterfall. The pieces are going to be 4 by 3.5, but I'm not entirely sure yet how many of these we're going to need. So I cut 12. We probably don't need all 12, but just in case. But I'm not going to score these yet until we're to that point and can kind of look at it and decide for sure really how many of these we need to do. So when we get back to those, they are going to be 4 by 3.5. Okay. So let me go ahead and restack everything and clip it back together. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and mess with our chipboard piece. So this is going to be the envelope front of the book. So this needs to be 5 by 9. Okay, I've already covered the back with tape. What I want you to do, I'm using the T-square because it does make it a lot easier. I want you to find the halfway point, so 4.5, and make a mark, not with your scoring tool, with a pencil, okay? And then make a line so it's 2 inches high, okay? Then I want you to turn it to go to the side and mark 2 inches on the right side and 2 inches on the left, and connect those together, okay? Then you can draw your lines to connect the two, okay? So we're going to cut our notch in this. So I'm going to do it with this trimmer. I'm going to take out my good blade. I'm going to put in my old blade to cut chipboard, and I'm going to line it up so my little guide wire is on top of my line I drew. I'm going to go back and forth, turn it the other way, and line it up, and again, back and forth. Okay. And I'm going to take the old blade back out, put the good blade back in, and then I'm going to find my craft knife. I'm just going to use it to cut the rest of the way through. I should be able to just drag it right in that little groove and pull that off. Might take a little bit extra because I did cover mine with tape ahead of time. If you want to wait and do that after, you cut it down and go right ahead. But honestly, you're still going to waste that same amount of tape, so it really does not matter. Okay. All right. So I'm going to grab my board. I'm going to grab my Clearview spacers. These are available on the website under Mini Album Tools. And I'm going to grab my cardstock that is 7 by 11. So we are going to put our 1-inch top spacer and our 1-inch side spacer on our scoreboard, line this up, and go ahead and take the backing off and drop this down. I know we're kind of going out of order here on this one, but that's okay. Okay. So we're going to drop that down like so. Now, what I want you to do is find your little T-square ruler again. Okay. I am just, actually, or you can actually you can use your 1-inch spacer as well. I am going to take and lay that across on that angle and just trim my cardstock off. Okay, just like that. Do it on the other side, same way. Okay. Put wood on that so I don't stab myself, because I've absolutely done that before. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this around and burnish. Because the bottom and the sides in this are going to be just very straightforward, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and cut out my corners down there, just like we always do. Now, for this top piece, we are going to fold it over and burnish it just like we do with our normal pieces, okay? I'm going to fold this in, and I'm going to miter. Okay? And then fold that down and do the same thing, okay? So that side's mitered. I'm going to go ahead and do this other side. Okay. There we go. And there we go. Now, this little top section, I don't know if we can do it that way. That's going to cause a lot of bulk. So, what I want you to do is cut. I think how I want to do this. Hold on. I think that will actually work. Okay. So I'm going to fold it over. I'm not going to angle in when I miter. I'm literally going to go as straight out on this as I can. Okay. Not as straight as I would have liked, but that's okay. Okay, and then I'm going to snip this off. It's going to be ugly, but I'm leaving a little piece there, okay? What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and take my 1/4-inch tape. I'm going to go around my sides. I can find the end. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my backing off of one of these pieces. I'm going to come in here, go along the edge of the chipboard, just like we always do. Okay, push this up, over, and burnish it down. And then I'm going to come in here with my bone folder and I'm going to push this piece down and over, so that when we then go over again, it's going to stay where we want it to stay. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue in there. And let's see if we can get it in a little bit closer. There we go. Okay, so here's our weird little piece. I am literally just coming in here with the bone folder and working that over and down. Okay. Then I can come with the other side, get the backing off, and again, down the side. We're going to go up, over and down, and that should be, oops, covered up. Okay, it's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect with this kind of angle, but it's better than if we just cut it straight off. Okay, so we can go around the rest of it and do our normal method for wrapping. Okay, so I'm going to do my sides next. So along the edge of the chipboard, and push it up, over, burnish it down. Same thing here, up, over, burnish it down. And then across the bottom, same thing, just like always. Okay? Right. So there is your little cover flap. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the rest. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and build the rest of our cover. So you need 2 pieces of chipboard that are 7 by 9, 2 that are 1 3/4 by 9, and then cardstock. So the cardstock to wrap the main cover pieces is going to be 9 by 11. We're going to put our top spacer in and our cover spacer. And go ahead and get the backing off our tape. Down. Apparently stick to our spacer a little bit. Happens, not the end of the world. Okay. Same thing with the second piece. And then we're going to swap our cover spacer for our spine spacer. Our cardstock for our spines are 4 3/4 by 11. So we've got our 1 inch and our 1 1/2. We're going to do the same thing here. Loud. If this will come off. There we go. Every once in a while, I can't quite get that off. Okay. Alright. Put these away. And we'll go ahead and wrap our chipboard. So for our 2 spine pieces, we are going to go ahead and fold the chipboard or the cardstock around the chipboard and burnish it down. Same thing with both of the cover pieces. I'm going to go ahead and miter my corners on all 4 pieces. So just folding that over, mitering from where our crease is, and then going back and doing it the other direction, and that gets that corner cut out on all 4 sides. Okay. Do the same thing on this one. Right, and then we'll do the same mitering on our spine. However, one of them we're going to do just like we did that one. Okay. And so one of them you're doing totally normal. The other one, I'm not going to miter yet because we're going to do something a little bit different when we put this together. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this spine and our 2 cover pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and add my tape. Outside 2 edges on my wings on my spine. Okay, I'm going to go all the way around on both cover pieces. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap both of our cover pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and pull backing off of my tape all the way around. Okay. I'm going to start with my long sides. So I'm going to put glue along the edge of the chipboard, and then in the open space between the chipboard and the score and the tape. I'm going to push up, fold it over, burnish it down. Go to the opposite side, and again along the chipboard, up in the middle, up, over, burnish it down, and again. Again on this one, same exact steps. Do the ends only on our spine. Okay. Okay. Now, you're going to put this part of it together just like we always do, okay? So I'm going to take my spine and we're going to burnish along the edge to really define where that chipboard is. Okay. I'm going to pull my backing off on one side. Go ahead and do my glue. Okay. Normally I would do this in the scoreboard, but we're going to do it the way I've traditionally done it for the last few years. Just laying the cover on top of the spine, using my finger as a guide up at the top, and just pulling this over till I feel it slide down off the edge there, and then put it down. Okay, turn around, do the same thing on the other side, and then I'm going to explain why we're doing something different with the other spine piece. Okay, so again, okay, carefully turn that over and burnish everything down on the inside. Then we've got pieces to reinforce, which I ended up adjusting my spine by a 1/4 inch, so this should be 5 3/4 by 8 7/8, 5 3/4 by 8 7/8. Mine's only 5 1/2, so mine's actually slightly short, but it's okay. It will still work. So I've got this covered completely with tape on the back side, so that it goes down nice and flat. I'm just going to line that up and burnish that down. Now I'm not going to start doing all my folding and getting this, you know, crease down in the middle there, because we need what we're going to do. So this, of course, actually I'm going to, because I'm going to have to show you how I do this. Okay. So I'm just using my bone folder to work those creases, get this all folded up, pinched into place. Okay. So because our little envelope closure is going to come out across the front, like so, rather than make this piece 1/8 of an inch wider and make it more confusing to make sure you're getting the right piece here and the right piece here, what we're going to do on the top piece only is we are going to wrap this to the outside of the album, as opposed to doing it onto the inside like we did here. Okay. When you're doing that, you want to be very careful when you miter on the top here. So I'm going to fold in first and miter. Okay. Fold in again and miter. Okay. And so then, when I go to miter the other two pieces here, I'm not going to be as aggressive as I might normally be. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go as straight out from this as I can. Okay? So I'm just putting my scissors up against the edge of the chipboard and cutting straight out. Okay? We're going to do the same thing over here. Straight out. And again, straight out. Now, what I want to do is go ahead and wrap my ends just like we've been doing. Glue in there, burnish this down and over, same thing on the other end, get our glue. Hi. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to just kind of fold this and make sure we don't have anything hanging over the top. Okay, got just a teensy bit there, so I'm going to come back and miter it just a tiny, tiny bit. Okay, this side's good, this one's good, this side needs it just a little bit too. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to put this on here. I'm going to grab one of my spacers, because these are 1/8 of an inch thick. Okay, we want to line that up so that when we put this down, we've got that gap. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put my tape on this side. Instead of on the outside like we normally would. Okay. I am going to get the backing off here. Go ahead and get my glue. I'm not going to go all the way to this chipboard because there's going to be a gap there. Okay. I'm going to take my spacer, put it up against the chipboard, put this up against the spacer, line it up, and drop it down. Okay. Do the same exact thing on the other side, only this time it's now going to be the other half of our book. Okay. So let me get this over here so it's ready to go. the same thing again. I've got my spacer up against the side of the chipboard, lining this up. And drop it down. Okay. This one I probably could have gone in a little bit tighter, but it's okay. All right. Same thing, 5 3/4 by 8 7/8 with the tape. I'm not picking this up and turning this over yet because it's a little bit, needs a second to dry. We can go ahead and put this on while we wait. Okay. All right. Turn that over. Make sure things get burnished on that side. We're good. And then we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to push that cardstock down into that gap, and again here, burnish that down. Okay, so now when this is all closed up, we've got the gap or the difference that we need out here to close this up the way we want it. Okay, and since you're matting and whatnot, you're not going to see how that kind of lines up a little funky on this side, or not funky, so you're not going to see this line. Okay, so there we go. That's how we're going to do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me grab a couple more things and we will put our elements inside. Okay, so let's go ahead and start scoring our different elements. So we're going to start with everything that's going to go on the top half of the album. So, excuse me. So we are going to start with a piece that is 7 3/4 by 9 with the 7 3/4 at the top. Sorry. Yeah, it's been a minute. 7 3/4 at the top. We are going to score this at 1/2 inch and 3/4. Okay. Okay. So let's get started on our top elements. And this pocket window that I said was 8 by 6.5 really needs to be 8 by 5.5. So I'm going to go ahead and trim 1 inch off of that, off the side that is not scored. And then we're going to go ahead and grab our T-square and a pencil again. And we're going to mark our window into this. So I'm going to start on the side that does not have a score line. And we are going to go in 3/4 inch. And then from the score line over here, so it's currently sitting at 5 inches, I'm going to go in 3/4 inch. I'm going to come down to the bottom and do the same thing again. Okay. And I can turn it this way and connect my lines. Okay, and from this side, okay, so it's coming in 1/2 inch here, so I'm going to go to 1 1/4, and from 7.5 here, we're going to go back to 6 3/4. Okay. And then do the same thing again. So that's where we need to actually cut. You can do it with a ruler and a craft knife. I'm going to live dangerously and do it with my trimmer. Because I've done it so many times with this trimmer, I usually can do it fairly easily. So the only reason I keep this one around. I don't use this one nearly as much as I used to, but for this, it's like perfect. Okay. Okay, so do not throw this away. We're going to use this as a guide when we go to mat this. So I'm going to go top, pocket, window. I'm going to set that aside. Okay. So when we do the two windows on the flaps on the bottom section, we're going to do the exact same process. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and erase my lines. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and miter across the bottom where the score lines cross, and then again at the top. Okay. All right. The pocket that that one sits on is this one that is 8 by 7. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and miter on this one as well. Then I'm going to take my ruler. Don't necessarily need to do this one with the T-square, but you could if you wanted to. Okay, I'm going to put it up with that score line on that edge. And I'm going to go in 1 inch. Come down a little bit because we're going to use the notch punch. 1 inch and 6 inches. What I'm going to do is take my little handy dandy notch punch. If you've got the envelope punch board, that works too. I just like this because I can do the exact same thing with it and it's not taking up as much space. Okay, so I'm lining up my mark, just centering it, and then I'm going to line this up like so, and then I can take the craft knife and trim that off, or like I plan on doing right here, I'm going to line up my trimmer and take it off that way. Okay, so this will now sit on top of this. I am going to go ahead and put this on here before we put this in, or put this down on the flap that it actually sits on top of. Okay. And erase my pencil marks again. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and glue my bottom first. And I'm going to line this up with that bottom score line and burnish it down. And then we'll go ahead and glue our sides down. And I know we have not put the acetate on there yet. We're not going to try and be all fancy and put it on the inside and try to get it all straight and flat and everything else. We're going to put it on top when we go to mat. Okay. All right, so burnish those down. Okay. And then you want your big flap. This is the one that is 7 by 9. No, 7 3/4 by 9. So I'm looking at the wrong measurement on my notes. I'm going to go ahead and miter. Okay. This one does have a 1/4 inch gusset. So this will open up like so. So I'm going to put my tabs that are attaching it into the book facing away. Go ahead and fold and burnish all of this. Okay, and it is going to go, this this side or this side. Honestly, it's entirely up to you. I'm going to go over here on the right. So I'm going to line that up on this bottom outside edge and burnish it down. Okay. Open it up. And go ahead and do our sides. Like so. And burnish it down again. Okay. Then we can go ahead and fold and burnish our 2 score lines. Okay. And that piece is ready to go in our book. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the book. This is going on the top section up here. Okay. So I'm going to turn it so that my little envelope flap piece is facing towards me. Line this up, make sure everything fits the way we want it to. Everything is good. And then go ahead and glue this in. As I do this, I have flattened my gusset for now, making sure I'm good side to side. I'm pushing this up to make sure I don't go too far up this way. Open this up and burnish this down. And then we can push back on our gusset and everything fits in just perfectly. Okay. We do need to mat this area back here. So I am going to use one of the solids that is in your kit. I haven't even opened these yet, so I apologize for the crinkling. You know, me personally, the crinkling does not bother me. Okay, I think I want to go with the yellow. So we are going to go trim this down to 6 7/8 by 8 7/8. Keep your scraps, because of course you'll want them later. And we're going to go ahead and put this down, because our other pocket with the waterfall on it that goes on top of this is actually not the full 7 inches. It's only 6 or 6.5, something like that. I think 6. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. And burnish that down. I want that one, I want the big one. Okay. So now then, let's do the pocket and the waterfall that go underneath. Waterfall, I had you cut 6, we need 5. That's the one drawback to designing the way I design, because I literally sit and sketch all of this out. Okay, our pocket piece is the 7 by 7.5. I'm going to go ahead and miter. And then we are going to notch this one as well. So again, I'm going to line this up. I'm going to go 1 inch, and I'm going to go 5 inches on this one. So it's about the same width as what we did on the other piece. Just sized down for the not quite nice wide pocket. Okay, turn that little piece off, and that's good to go. Okay, waterfall pieces, there is no mitering. You're going to fold and burnish. So this is going to go on top of our pocket, like so. All right. Go ahead and erase these two pieces or spots as well. Okay. So I'm going to turn it. So I'm going to assemble it upside down. And go ahead and put this together. Okay, first tab is going to go even with the score line that is going to be the bottom of your pocket. It will fit exactly top to bottom, which is why I like to build the waterfalls on top of something, because then they almost always are nice and straight when they're closed. Okay, make sure it's even. Good. Sorry, that felt like it moved on me, but it's okay. Okay. Open that up. Go to our next piece. Open that up. Next one. Make sure everything looks good. We're good so far. Okay, this last one we are going to fold open. And we are going to glue on top of the tab before, so we don't have that little piece sitting there at the bottom. Okay. All right, so now what I want you to do, let me grab different scissors here. You're going to take some of your ribbon and we want to put this so it's going to come from the sides to close off the waterfall. However, we don't want it to run all the way around underneath, because then you wouldn't be able to slide anything down into the pocket. Okay. So what I'm going to do is line this up about where it needs to go. No, not quite. Just kidding. I'm going to take a little piece of tape and one end of my ribbon. I'm going to center it roughly about right there, and I'm going to tape that to the tab that's going down in the book. Okay, I'm going to take about, I don't know, probably about 12 inches. And then again, about 12 to 14, somewhere in there. And I'm going to put it down on the opposite side the exact same way. Okay. Lining that up. Okay. And you can tie this around. That way you can make sure you've got it in the right place where it's going to catch that top flap of the waterfall, which we're good. Okay. Now we can go ahead and glue this one in. where it needs to go. So I'm going to turn this sideways so our pocket on the top's facing the other direction. So this one's going to face this way. Okay. Getting glue just on that tab. I'm going to go ahead and center this as best I can. I'm not going to measure it. It's fine. If you want to measure it and make some little tick marks where you think it needs to go down, by all means, go right ahead. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pull the backing off of my tape on the back here. Okay. And then go ahead and glue my sides down. Your entire top, other than of course the acetate on your top pocket, is assembled. Okay. Alright, there's your top, and we're going to work on this bottom section. Okay. Flaps and things on the other side. So the first piece we're going to work on is our large flap that is 8.5 by 9. Okay, I'm actually going to oh, never mind, I know it's 8.5. I'm actually going to take like 1/8 of an inch off the edge of this just to make sure it's not going to be too wide. Might not be necessary, but I would rather adjust it now than go to put it together and have it not be where I want it to be. Okay, so we are going to go ahead to move those. We're not scissors or paper. We're going to go ahead and miter. Before this goes in, it does have a belly band that is going to go. So when this one opens up, it's going to open up down. So it's going to go on the back side. So we're going to go ahead and miter that. Well, and fold and burnish on the lines I meant to fold and burnish on, because this was one where my thing kind of jumped out of its track. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get glue on both ends on this. I'm not going to try to do one end and then the other. I'm just going to eyeball it to center it. I think about right there looks good. And burnish it down. Okay. And then I can go ahead and fold and burnish our 2 score lines, so our tab and our gusset. Okay. We're going to go ahead and put this one in, and it's going to go down here at the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and glue that all the way to the bottom outside edge. I am going to go ahead and fold that gusset flat so I can see exactly what I am attaching, where it is going, so on and so forth, to make sure it's where I want it. Burnish that down, and that one's good. Okay, this again. Next up is going to be our pocket flap. So the base for this is 5 1/8 by 8. That's because of the gusset we're putting on this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and miter. And fold the second score line. So I'm not folding my tab, I'm just folding the score line that creates our gusset. Okay. The pocket, we're going to go ahead and miter just like we always do. And then I'm going to fold and burnish. Okay. Now, before we attach this, I just want to lay it on here and make sure it lines up exactly. So they should be the exact same size once that's folded under, okay? We're all good. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the bottom tab. Maybe. And then lay this down. Burnish it down. Open it back up and go ahead and get my sides. Okay. Tuck in there. And burnish those down as well. And we are going to notch this one. This one, however, we are going to notch right in the middle. So this is 8 inches. I'm going to make a little tick mark at 4 inches. And that's all we're going to notch. We're not going to like take it all the way down. Okay? And by doing it after we've assembled it, it just guarantees you're going to get that perfectly notched and lined up. Okay? So now I can fold my other score line. Grab our book again. And this is going to go down here. Okay? And again, I'm just going to center it and burnish it down. So, once that's in, these two both fold together like that. Okay? The next group is going to be envelope flap, base, pocket, and closure. It should say closure on there, not flap. Okay, so for the flap base part, we're going to go ahead and miter. I'm sorry, I need to measure something on here. Okay, so that, okay. All right. I did not have a note on my stuff as far as for sure where this one went. Other than it went on the bottom. Okay, so our flap itself has, our pocket itself has 1/4 inch gussets. Okay, so we are going to miter through the middle. Okay, so you can see where my score lines are. When I cut them, you'll see that I did not cut, that you have a triangle. That's what I'm trying to say, okay? I'm going to go ahead and cut on the score line. Right there, okay? And then miter at our top. And then our closure flap, assuming this is the right size, let me double check. It is absolutely not even close. What have I done here? Or does it go this way? Hold up. Does it go that way? Yes, it goes that way. You guys, I'm telling you, there are days where I just shouldn't be doing this. Okay. So we are going to fold and burnish all of our score lines. So I was looking at that going, that doesn't look right. It's fine. It's just me. Okay. And then fold up and burnish and over and burnish. Okay. So I'm going to fold in my second score line here, just so that this is sitting nice and flat. we can line everything up. And I'm still off, line is still off. You know what, it's fine. We're going to take 1/4 of an inch off the end of this. Because that is supposed to take up the entire width of this piece. Okay? So you just need to decide which end you want your closure on. It really doesn't matter. It can go either way. We're going to start on our bottom, like always. Okay, I'm going to fold those flaps out and line this up on the bottom and burnish it down. Okay. Put up and burnish that down again. Now we can fold back on our score line. We're going to tuck in these 2 little triangles and then fold this up and in and glue those down. Now, in this case, normally I would just glue them. If you want to use your tape, it does make it go down a lot easier, okay? So I think I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to grab my 3/8" tape so that it doesn't hang over, but it's going to cover more surface area than the 1/4 inch. Okay. And again. All right. So fold those in. I'm going to pull one side part way, maybe, kind of crease it back. That way I can make sure my tab is folded in. This comes up and around and then down so that the outside edge is along the edge of the flap. Down with my bone folder. Okay. And then the other side will be a little bit easier because we've got one down, we've got our pocket formed. And then we can fold this one in and do the same thing. Okay, so push my bone folder in there. All right, so there's that part. And then to fold and burnish our other tab. So I will just do it with my fingernail, it's fine. Okay, now this piece is still too freaking short. What did I do? Hold on. Why is it that? I don't know why it's that size. That size is absolutely wrong. It should not be 2 3/4. I think it's supposed to be 4 inches. So let me grab a scrap. We're going to cut to 6 inches. Yeah, we're going to cut 6 inches wide, and then we're going to go 4 3/4. I think that's probably what it was supposed to have been on my notes, and it wasn't. But that's okay. It happens. Let me fix my notes so that when I put this on the cutting guide will always be correct. Okay? Even if I've had to change a measurement as we go through here, what is on the printed cutting guide, or if you've just bought the cutting guide and downloaded it, what is on the cutting guide will be correct. So we're going to score this at 4 inches and 4 1/4. Okay. This is just going to be our little closure. So I'm going to go ahead and miter. And miter. And then fold and burnish. Fold and burnish. And this is just going to go up here at the top, like so. That down. We're going to grab our ribbon again. Are we? No, we're not. This one's going to get a magnet. So let me grab, make a note for sure. A set of magnets. And if you buy the cutting guide and you have your, front sheet that has all your QR codes and everything to get to the tutorial and the project pictures and whatnot, there is a note on there about the magnets, about getting these apart. So don't pull them apart. You want to slide them, okay? So you put pressure, slide them apart. I'm going to go ahead and get my magnet on the inside. I can draw my one on the outside when everything is connected and tape it down. And this one is also ready for the book. Okay, so this one, I believe, goes in like so. So it would fold up and out of the way. No, it doesn't. It goes out to the side. I promise I know what I'm doing. I really do. Okay, so this one, doesn't matter. You can go right side, left side. Either one is fine. We're going to put it centered to this outside edge. Okay, there we go. Again, everything closes down on top. All right, so next up are our 2 frame flaps. So, did I totally... No, I know what I was going to do. Okay. So let's deal with the frame part first. So these were 5 by 7.5. Did I do these wrong? I think I did. This is 7, right? Yes. I think all 4 of those pieces are wrong. So let me grab the cardstock because So these are going to be 7 by 6 for the base, and then 7 3/8 by 5 for the frame portion of it. So our two base pieces, we're going to start with the 7" at the top. You're going to score this at 1/2 inch and at 5/8. Oops. Actually, stay in the channel where I want to score it. So 1/2 inch, 5/8. Okay. The pocket, we're going to start with 7 3/8 at the top, score it at 1/2 inch, turn it all the way around and 1/2 inch again, and then turn it to the 5" side and 1/2 inch again. Okay, so they are going to be shorter than the actual flap itself, but it's okay, it's a shorter pocket on a longer flap. So again, 7 3/8, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Okay. All right, so let's take our two pocket pieces that are going to have the frame. Take our pencil, take our T-square. We're going to go from the outside edge that does not have the score mark on it. And on this one, we're going to go 1/2 inch. And then we're going to go 4 inches. And on this end, we're going to go 1 inch. And then turn it all the way around and go 1 inch again. Okay. Go ahead and get your lines. Okay. Okay. Same thing on this side. So we're going to go 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. And when I say 1/2 inch, it's 1/2 inch in from the score line. 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. And then again, go ahead and draw where you're going to cut this out. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and trim this out. Alright, so then we're going to go bottom, pocket flap 1, and we put a little 1 on there so I know which one came out of which in case my cutting is slightly different between the two of them. So I'm going to bottom, pocket flap, 2. Okay. All right, so those are both good. All right, so now I am going to, other than my little 2, because I'll get covered up with matting, I'm going to erase my other lines. Okay. Same thing with the 1. I'll leave the 1 on there because it'll get covered up with the matting. Okay. We're going to go ahead and miter. So you're going to go across the bottom. And then miter at the top. And then we're going to miter both of these and then put them together. So grab one of them, doesn't matter which one, go ahead and fold and burnish. Being careful, of course, to not bend your frame. Okay. This is going to go, oh my god, did I screw this up again? No, it goes on like so. Okay, no, we're good. We're good. So we're going to go ahead, put glue along the bottom, take it all the way to the bottom outside corner. Our sides. Okay. Same thing again. Just going to burnish that down. Burnish it down. Okay. I'll repeat it on the other one. Again, all the way to this bottom corner, bottom edge. Except this is on the wrong side, so I need to actually turn this around. This one's over here, this one's over here. Sorry about that. But I caught it before it had a chance to dry, so we're good. Okay. Okay. So now we can go ahead and fold our other score lines. The 1/8 inch ones are always a little bit trickier, but it works. So this is going to go up here, like so. this one is going to go, oh, maybe it was on the right. No, this one's going to come from the side. Actually, they're both coming from the side. What am I thinking? Okay, they're coming in from the side. So I'm going to go ahead, flatten out my gusset so that I can make sure I'm lined up right when I glue this in. And again, we're just going to center it. Okay. And then push back your gusset. Go our other side, do the same thing. Okay, so there we go there. Now, our stacked pockets. You may remember we did not score these. The reason we did not score these is in case we need to trim them on the width. So I am going to measure from score line to score line, and I am at 8 7/8 of an inch, okay? Which means we need to cut these down to 9 7/8 from 10 inches. Probably, honestly, a hair under that. Okay. So I'm going to grab my trimmer, and I am going to go. Why are these? Yeah, so 9 7/8. And I'm going to go just a hair under, okay? Okay. Now, this is 4, right? Yes, okay. So, the bottom pocket, we are going to score at 1/2 inch on the 9 3/4 side and 9 1/4. We're going to turn it to the 6 inch side, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch, or 5 1/2 in my case. Okay. Our second piece, again, we're going to start on the 9 7/8 ish side. 1/2 inch, which means I just totally did that wrong. So 1/2 inch, turn it, and then do 1/2 inch, because otherwise I am 1/8 of an inch too far over, which is exactly what I just did there. So 1/2 inch, turn, 1/2 inch, turn, 1/2 inch. So we've got 1/2 inch, we're turning it, 1/2 inch, turn it, 1/2 inch again. Okay. If you have any idea how many times I've done that exact same thing and completely screwed something up, I've lost count. Okay, so this will then be trying to think if I actually wanted to score the bottom of this. I think I do. We're going to deal with this one first because we're going to notch this one. Okay, so I am going to go 1 inch in from my score line on this side and mark. I'm going to go 1 inch in from my correct score line on the other end and mark. Okay, we will notch. And notch. And trim. Okay. All right. This one we are going to do the same thing. So I am going to go an inch. And then an inch from the score line on the other end. And same thing again. Okay. All right. And then trim it out. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and miter. Okay. Grab our book. Open everything up. And we will go ahead and fold and burnish. Fold and burnish. Fold and burnish. Again. Okay, go ahead and just glue them in like we always do, starting at the bottom. Just make sure you are even between your score lines on your two flaps that close over these. Okay. And burnish it down and burnish it down. And then this one just goes on top. Over here and burnish it down. Okay, so that will close over, up, and there we go. So the other pieces I had cut for the waterfall were supposed to go across this, but I'm not sure if I want to do that now. So let me think about it. I'll be back. Okay, so the only thing we have left to do on this is just add our ribbon for our closure. So if you used the roughly, what did I tell you, 12 inches and 12 inches over here, we didn't have it anywhere else in the book, so you should have enough to wrap around the outside of the book. So what I'm doing is kind of getting this positioned so that the halfway point on this is down here about where the point is. You could do it higher if you want to. It's entirely up to you. I want it so that it will tie down here where the point is. Once I've kind of got that in place and centered up, what I'm going to do is just take some tape and secure it down on the back. Right there. There, and then I'm going to hit it at this top, which this is where you can decide if you want to have this top piece matted over or if you want the ribbon on top of your matting down here and down here. Of course, it will be on the top on these two, unless you wanted to mat this and only have it showing like right here. So that much is up to you. I think I am going to do this with the ribbon coming up over the matting on the top and the bottom. But yeah, that's all there is to it. Super simple and just really cute. I'll be back in a minute with the acetate and the matting for your window pockets on the inside here, and that'll about do it. Okay, so the last couple of things we need to do, and I've got this pretty much matted, I haven't done any decorating yet. We need to do our window pockets, and we need to do our top flap here. So what I have done for that is I have cut a piece of the pattern paper that is 8 7/8 by 4 7/8. Okay, so what we did when we did this one was we found our center spot. I'm going to turn it over and mark on the back side so I don't have to worry about erasing any pencil lines. So our middle is going to be 4 9/16. Let me just double check that I am not correct. You know what? Let's grab the Tim Holtz centering ruler because that's going to be easier. Oh my gosh, seriously. Okay, so you're going to be about right there, which is what? 4 7/16. That makes way more sense. And then on our sides, we had gone down, what, 3 inches? Okay, so we are going to go 3 inches again. Down the sides, I think. Why does this seem short? What have I done here? You know what, we're going to make it work. And we're not going down 3 inches. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done one of these, so I apologize. Okay, so we've got our center. On the sides, we're going to go down 2 7/8 and make a mark. Okay. So we're going to do just like we did before, that we're going to line up and cut. So, and so. Okay. And then that will go down on here. So mine is a little bit short on the top. What we'll end up doing is probably adding a little strip off of another paper just to kind of break that up. Honestly, I'm tempted to mat underneath this, like double mat this top section only, which I think is what I'm going to do, because we've got extra of the solids. So I'm going to cut this one to 5 by 9 7/8. I'm going to do the exact same thing again on my sides because I want my green side up on this. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to mark this one at 2 7/8. And then I'm going to find my center again on here. And trim that. And then what I'm going to do on this one is just, actually let's see how it fits. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit, about 1/16 of an inch off of each end of this one. And then see again. A little bit more off. Okay. And then I'm going to take an 1/8 off of the top straight edge. This angle is fine. We don't need to mess with it. We just need to other than I don't have a point on this one, so I am going to just adjust this one. And that was just because of how I cut this. I didn't actually get a point. Okay, so that one's going to go on our front. Okay. In fact, if you wanted to make that border a little bit more distinct, which I think I do, I'm going to take another 1/8 of an inch off there, and then the same here, and here, because then it's a little bit more defined. Okay, so that's going to go on here. The one for the inside is, where'd my paper go? There it is. I'm going to use the butterflies, and this one, and again, the reason this one's slightly wider is because of how we wrapped this outside. So this one is 4 7/8 by 4 7/8 by 8 7/8. I don't know why my brain literally just went, no, I'm sorry, ma'am, we're not going to provide you with that information right now. Okay. So I'm going to find my half, which is about right there. And we'll do the same thing again on the sides. 2 7/8 and 2 7/8, and then cut our point again. Okay, and then this one, which thankfully is not super directional. Actually, it kind of is, isn't it? We can do that side. But I am slightly off, like my point. Wow, I really jacked that one up, didn't I? Alright, so I think we're going to go with this one then. Because that is not the right size. Oh my god, seriously. Okay, 4 7/8. You can also, rather than trying to do like measure your angles, I prefer to measure them. However, you can also lay this on here. And mark it that way. And then trim. Okay, so that one's going to go down like so. Let's go ahead and put those in, and then we'll do our pockets. And this one I'm actually going to put on its backer before we attach it. You know, if I could actually like okay. And then this one is going to go on here. And we have that green to kind of break things up. Okay. Somehow I'm still slightly off, but you know what, we have flowers, we'll cover that up. So I'm not sure what I did, so I would definitely recommend doing it this method where we laid it and marked it rather than trying to measure it, which again is why I don't usually do this kind of element, because it is really easy to get it just slightly off. Okay, so what we're gonna do with our frame. So I have my cardstock cut to 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. Okay, and you'll remember I had you hang on to the little piece that sits in here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to set that there. I am going to, and when I set it there, I'm going to make sure it is lined up exactly where it was cut out from. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of glue. I'm going to lay this piece down. And then we're going to pop it out. Okay? Because what we're going to do now is take this, get a craft knife, and that's how we're going to trim out our window. Okay. So, put it there. Telling you, this is not my morning for this. I have no idea why. Okay. So now I am going to pop that off because this is going to go down on the inside of this window. So ultimately it's not going to matter. Okay. I'm going to finish cutting through on my corners. This I am going to glue down right there in the center of the frame. Okay. This we're going to attach our acetate to the back. So I am going to go ahead and run my tape around the back side. And I'm going to take my acetate, which is the same size as my frame. Okay. There we go. One more. And then I'm going to go around it one more time. And then we will put it down on top of our pocket. And then you've got your window pocket on top of for your stacked pockets. I know what I'm trying to say, I promise. And this next one, I'm going to show you an alternative to gluing it. Okay, there we go. All set. Now our next two, I have my acetate cut. This is 6 3/8, I think. Hold on. 6 3/8 by 4 1/4. I've got 2 pieces for that. Okay. So these two are the same, so I did number them. Okay, so here's my number 2. And what I'm going to do with this one instead is I'm going to take my tape runner. I'm going to hit it with just a tiny bit of that. I'm going to take my paper that's going to go down on the inside of this one. And pick it up. And this time, instead of gluing it down, I am going to trace where this one needs to go. Okay. Okay. So then I can pop that back off, and then I can trim this out. Again, it's going to fall off the back of my table. Just with my knife. Okay. I could also line it up in my trimmer and do it that way. But I'm fine this way. All my corners, not quite. There we go. So now I can go ahead, do the same thing with my little mat for inside. I'm trying to decide if I want to do it facing up and then this one on top. Nope, I think I'm going to do it the other way. Okay. All right, and then we'll do the same thing again with the acetate and the frame to put that down, and then you'll repeat the exact same process on this side as well. Okay? And that's it. That's how you do your pockets. So for your matting for your little notched pockets, for this one, I did it exactly the way we did the notch on the pocket itself. I put these back to back. I marked where the notch was and punched them at the same time so that they would line up exactly back to back. For the other pieces, you can either measure 7/8 of an inch in and notch them and cut them out like we did. We went an inch initially with the with those, or you can just do the same thing again where you're going to line this up, like slide it down in. Where's one of the bigger ones? Where you're sliding it down in here, marking where the notch, the center of the notch is, and then punching it that way. Whichever works best for you, that's going to be the best way to do it. So the only thing I have left at this point is just the decorating, which of course you'll see. This one, you'll see it's got the branding strip on the bottom because I measured this wrong and cut it wrong the first try. So you probably will not do that. But again, I can hide that with the stickers and whatnot. So you'll have, of course, your sticker sheet, and then in addition to the sticker sheet, you're going to have some stickers from the sticker book. In this case, unlike the Beach Town, you are not getting the full book. You are getting half of the book because they do repeat. Because Echo Park was out of these when I went to order. So, since they do repeat, it's very easy. You're going to get the exact same set of 8 of the cardstock stickers out of the book. You're just not getting duplicates this time. Okay, which actually does help keep the costs down on the project. That's not typically how I would do this, but in this case I kind of didn't have a whole lot of choice because this one was gone. So yeah, so you'll have lots and lots of options. You've got 2 alphas in here, or an alphabet in here. You've got a couple of different numbers. You've got super cute border strips, which I don't think are quite long enough to do anything there, but that's fine. So yeah, you've got lots and lots of options. You've got paper left to do photo mats and that kind of thing. You've got cut-aparts left, again, for photo mats to tuck into all of these fun little pockets and things. And yeah, that's going to be about it. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you if you have purchased the kit for your support. I very much appreciate it, and I will be back soon with another project and another kit.